A few months ago, a woman came to me absolutely exhausted. She described feeling wired but tired, completely drained during the day, but the moment her head hit the pillow at night, her mind would race. She tried everything: sleep supplements, meditation apps, cutting caffeine, even sleeping pills. Nothing worked. And as we talked more, I noticed something. Her symptoms got significantly worse after her company moved to a new office building with wall to wall Wi Fi coverage. At home, she'd upgraded to a smart home system, wireless everything. When I started asking specific questions, the pattern became clear: headaches that started mid afternoon, brain fog that made it hard to focus, a constant feeling of anxiety she couldn't explain, and that relentless, exhausting combination of being simultaneously drained and overstimulated. She was experiencing what's called electromagnetic hypersensitivity, and she had no idea that the invisible RF fields surrounding her 24/7 might be connected to why she felt so awful. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite. If you'd like to connect with me, use the QR code on the screen or go to drgayla.com/links. Because on this channel, I'm here to help you reverse the effects of chronic stress so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom free. So, what exactly is electromagnetic hypersensitivity, and why does it seem to hit some people harder than others? If you've been feeling exhausted but can't pinpoint why, or if you've noticed your symptoms get worse around certain devices or in certain environments, you might be wondering if this could be what's happening to you. Let's start by looking at what electromagnetic hypersensitivity actually is, what researchers have found about dirty electricity, and why women in midlife seem to be especially vulnerable. Electromagnetic hypersensitivity is when your body starts reacting to the invisible radio frequency fields and electrical pollution, what researchers call dirty electricity, that surround us constantly from Wi Fi, cell phones, smart devices, and even the wiring in your walls. For women navigating midlife, that can be especially problematic because fluctuating hormones already stress your mitochondria and detox systems. This makes you more vulnerable to EMF exposure that disrupts sleep, energy production, and nervous system regulation. The symptoms are real: chronic headaches, brain fog, insomnia, heart palpitations, anxiety, and that exhausting wired but tired feeling, even though mainstream medicine is still catching up to understanding the mechanisms. Dirty electricity is a documented form of electrical pollution. Its high frequency voltage transients in the kilohertz range, riding along standard electrical wiring generated by switching power supplies, arcing, and modern electronic devices. Research shows it can trigger immune responses, cause inflammation, elevate blood sugar in diabetics, and disrupt neurotransmitter production, including serotonin and dopamine. Midlife hormonal changes increase EMF sensitivity. When estrogen declines, your mitochondrial membrane potential drops, reducing your cell's ability to generate energy and making you more susceptible to man made electromagnetic fields. This hormonal vulnerability means EMF exposure can worsen sleep disturbance, anxiety, fatigue, and cognitive issues that many women already experience during the transition. The symptoms affect your entire nervous system. Beyond just feeling tired, electromagnetic hypersensitivity can cause skin tingling or burning, dizziness, memory problems, mood swings, tinnitus, ringing in the ears. That's one of the ways I really notice when I'm in the midst of these kinds of frequencies. Muscle pain and even heart rhythm changes. These aren't imaginary complaints. Studies show EMFs can alter hormone levels, lower melatonin production, increase oxidative stress, and create chronic inflammation in sensitive individuals. In a 2022 study published in Current Neuropharmacology, it explains that electromagnetic field exposure from Wi Fi, cell phones, and electrical devices disrupts melatonin production, which is why people experience sleep problems, anxiety, and fatigue. The research found that EMF exposure consistently lowers melatonin levels, with people who already have poor sleep showing the strongest effects. When a radio transmitter in Switzerland shut down, residents' melatonin levels increased by 15% and sleep quality improved, proving that removing EMF sources can reverse the damage. For women in midlife dealing with sleep disruption and that wired but tired feeling, this research validates that EMF exposure is literally suppressing the melatonin you need to fall asleep and repair at night. And reducing EMF exposure can make a measurable difference. So now that you understand what electromagnetic hypersensitivity is and how dirty electricity affects your nervous system, the next question is, why do so many women describe feeling wired but tired instead of just exhausted? This is where the pieces start coming together. You might think EMF exposure would just make you feel drained, and it does. But here's what's really happening. The constant bombardment of radio frequency fields is throwing your entire stress response system off balance, scrambling the signals between your brain and adrenal glands until your body literally can't figure out when to be awake and when to sleep. If you're concerned about how EMF exposure is impacting your sleep and energy, especially if you're navigating midlife, you'll find some specific strategies in one of my other videos, Making Sense of Menopause Fatigue, the Stress Connection. The link should pop up right here on your screen, and if you miss it, no worries, I've included it in the description below. Wired but tired is what happens when your HPA axis, the stress regulation system connecting your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands, gets stuck in overdrive from chronic stress, and you end up with cortisol firing at the wrong times. While people often call this adrenal fatigue, that's not an official medical diagnosis. What's actually happening is your stress response system has lost its natural rhythm, leaving you exhausted during the day but unable to shut down at night. The problem isn't just tiredness, it's a cascade of symptoms affecting your mood, metabolism, immune system, and cognitive function that goes way beyond feeling worn out. Your entire stress response system is dysregulated, not just your energy. Beyond fatigue, you'll experience brain fog and poor concentration, anxiety and irritability, mood swings and emotional sensitivity, heart palpitations or racing heart. This is one of the things that I tend to experience as well. Dizziness or lightheadedness, especially when standing. Frequent infections because your immune system is compromised, and digestive issues, including nausea. Many people also report muscle weakness, difficulty waking up in the morning even after 8+ hours of sleep, and taking much longer to recover from exercise. The cortisol rhythm gets completely backward. With HPA axis dysfunction, cortisol stays elevated at night when it should be low, causing the wired insomnia and mind racing, but then tanks during the day when you actually need it, causing the exhaustion and crashes. You might wake up between 2 and 4 a.m. with your heart pounding, struggle to fall back asleep, then feel like you're dragging through mud all day until you get a weird second wind at bedtime. This dysregulation also triggers intense cravings for sugar, salt, and caffeine just to keep functioning. It affects hormones, weight, and metabolic health beyond just tiredness. Chronic cortisol dysregulation causes stubborn weight gain, especially around your midsection, hormonal imbalances, including low libido and worsened menopausal symptoms, blood sugar instability, and insulin resistance, increased inflammation throughout your body, and digestive problems. Pretty much everything, right? Your body essentially gets trapped in survival mode, prioritizing immediate stress response over long-term metabolic health, immune function, and tissue repair. The truth is, when you're dealing with this wired but tired pattern, waking up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing, dragging through the day, craving sugar and caffeine just to function, your body is essentially stuck in chronic stress mode. And if electromagnetic fields are one of the hidden stressors keeping your nervous system on high alert 24/7, no amount of deep breathing or stress management is going to fully fix it. This is one of the reasons why this is referred to as geopathic stressors in my 12 categories of toxic stressors that I evaluate with my metabolic energy system assessment. But there are some practical research-backed ways to reduce your EMF exposure and give your body a chance to actually calm down. When you know for sure that this is what's causing it, that's the reason why I tend to like to run my assessment. But it's also helpful to just mitigate some of this EMF, even if you're not sure that this is the cause of your insomnia or other symptoms. So let's connect the dots. The electromagnetic hypersensitivity disrupting your nervous system, the dirty electricity scrambling your stress signals, the backward cortisol rhythm leaving you exhausted but unable to sleep, even the hormonal vulnerability making everything worse in midlife, these aren't separate problems. They're all symptoms of a body stuck in relentless stress mode with no off switch. And while you can't eliminate EMF exposure completely in our modern world, you can make strategic changes in the environments where your body needs it most, starting with your bedroom, where your nervous system is supposed to downshift and your cells are supposed to repair the damage from the day. So if your body is trapped in survival mode, prioritizing stress response over repair, stuck with backward cortisol that won't let you rest, what can you actually do about it? This is where EMF protection devices become critical. And I'm going to share exactly what I use myself because this isn't theoretical for me. I am very sensitive, and EMF is one of the things that really causes disturbance for me and my health. EMF protection devices are practical tools that can help reduce your exposure to radio frequency radiation and dirty electricity, especially in the places where you spend the most time, like your bedroom, where your body needs to repair and restore. I use multiple devices because electromagnetic hypersensitivity is a real problem for me. And I've found that focusing on the sleeping environment makes the biggest difference in how I feel the next day. So if you work regularly with a laptop, tablet, or phone, which most of us do for hours during the day, you absolutely need to take precautions to interrupt the disruptive radiation coming directly from those devices. You want to make sure that you have some barrier between you and the device. That typically is some form of high quality grounding mat. If you're curious about what I use, just feel free to comment below this video and I will get you some suggestions and recommendations. You want to make sure you prioritize protecting your sleeping environment first because your bedroom is where your nervous system needs to downshift and your body needs to detoxify and repair. So this is ground zero for EMF protection. I personally use a grounding sheet on the bed. This connects you to the Earth's natural electrical frequency. I also use an EMF blocking blanket that shields against radio frequency radiation while I sleep and anything that's coming from above my body. And lately, I've even added an EMF blocking beanie or hat because my head is particularly sensitive. I will say that the beanie is the thing that's made the most difference recently. I have found that I'm not feeling like my brain gets hooked in that loop of charge that somehow is circulating around my body in my bedroom. The quality shielding fabrics with high silver or copper content can reduce RF exposure by 60 to 90% when they're properly used. You really want to make sure you're using products with actual independent testing data to make sure that these aren't just marketing claims and that they really are going to work, because they're fairly expensive. You want to use practical devices to reduce direct exposure from technology you can't avoid. Again, we talked about the grounding mat if you're working on a laptop. You can also use a shield of some sort. I also typically use a shield that I wear as a necklace whenever I'm working on devices or in front of screens for an extended period of time. And even if you're using a grounding mat, you definitely don't want to put the device directly on your lap where it's radiating into your reproductive organs and major blood vessels. Keep your phone on airplane mode whenever possible. Use wired headphones instead of Bluetooth. And consider this dirty electricity and use filters that plug into outlets to reduce the high frequency transients traveling through your home's wiring. These have been shown to help with sleep quality and reduce symptoms in sensitive individuals. It's not about being perfect. Honestly, as I mentioned earlier, there is no way we can eliminate all of these electromagnetic energies and frequencies from getting to us. The world is just full of them now. This is more about protecting yourself in the situations with the most risk and where you have the most control. Distance and duration matter more than expensive gadgets. The most effective EMF protection is often the simplest, keeping devices away from your body, using speakerphone instead of holding your phone to your head, turning off Wi-Fi routers at night, and hardwiring your internet connection instead of using wireless. Be cautious about products that claim to neutralize or harmonize EMFs without blocking them. These typically lack scientific validation, and some may even increase your exposure by forcing devices to boost their signal strength. Focus on proven shielding materials, behavioral changes, and intermittent protection rather than trying to shield everything all the time, which can actually block beneficial natural electromagnetic fields your body actually needs and thrives on. So, what happened to the woman from the beginning of the video who came to me exhausted, unable to sleep, despite trying everything, with symptoms that got worse after her office went full Wi-Fi and she upgraded to a smart home? Once we started addressing her EMF exposure, particularly in her bedroom with grounding sheets and EMF blocking devices, plus simple changes like keeping her laptop off her lap and turning off the Wi-Fi router at night, her sleep quality improved within 2 weeks. And within a month, that relentless, exhausted but overstimulated feeling, wired but tired, started to lift. The answer she'd been searching for wasn't another supplement or sleep app. It was recognizing that her body was reacting to an invisible environmental stressor that no one had thought to address. And if your best efforts to live a healthy lifestyle and do all the things you've been led to think are supposed to work aren't getting the job done, you may even be feeling like you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. I have more resources to help you navigate midlife. Just go to drkayla.com/links and watch my next video where I show you how to manage the toxic stress that's sabotaging your efforts. You can eliminate the symptoms that seem to be piling up in midlife naturally without medication, crazy diets, intense exercise, or any other unsustainable lifestyle hack.